Even the genius asks questions. Oof. Do you know who this one's quoted by? I'm not sure if this is legit or not, but apparently it's quoted by my boy Tupac Shakur. Oof. Damn, you know anything that Tupac spits or says or quotes, whatever, you know that shit's gonna be deep. Yeah, because he was one of the philosophers we had back in our time before he sadly passed away. But I want to repeat it one more time. Even the genius asks questions. Oof. Yes, he does. A true genius, a true man of wisdom and intellect will always ask questions. And if they don't ever seem like they're asking questions, trust me, like when you don't see them, when you don't know, when they're meditating or they're in the quiet place alone at home, they're asking heaps of questions and they're reflecting heaps. They're asking God and the universe like about all these like queries they have, and they're sorting it out in their mind and they're processing all the information and they're making light of whatever they can. Trust me, because to be great is to be a student. To be great is to be able to grow. Oof. And my boy Tupac, bro, he knew that. I bet, I don't know why, I got this feeling, I just know it. Like he had some haters around him, you know, like probably other rappers or other people in the business trying to put him down because they were scared of him. They were scared of him because they could see how much he was growing. And so all these people that start to get insecure about who they were and their positions, they probably see him and they try to find a flaw in him. That's what insecure people do. They try to find a flaw in what they deem a threat. They probably saw Tupac as a threat. And they were like, oh, what can we point out about him? Oh, he asked too many questions. And he probably just looked at them and was like, I asked too many questions. Even a genius asks questions. And he shut up. He probably just said nothing after that. He probably like threw some gang signs in their face. He made a rap about them. And, you know, like, that's it. He didn't release the rap because, like, they were like, no, please don't release that rap. No, everyone's going to know it's me and it's going to be so embarrassing. Like, they probably begged him, like, please don't release his rap. And he's like, it's fine. And he gave that tape to them. Like, you guys just enjoy it. This is a lesson. And maybe you guys can start asking questions too. Oof. Man, Tupac, he's so good, bro. What a lethal cunt. Like, he destroyed people, like, not even, you know, with physical violence. It was just lyrical violence. Oof. Damn. Man, Tupac, oof, I love it. Like, to me, he's still the greatest rapper. It doesn't matter about skill or, like, you know, how much money they make. It's just the impact that he made as a person. And we can only state that now, and I can only state that now given the impact that I've seen he's given upon the commercial world. Sadly, it's through his death where he made an impact, like where his impact started to grow on. We do hope that the immortality of other musicians and artists and people in general, the essence of them is immortalized and lives through the ages, even beyond their living life. But there's one thing for sure. Tupac still making waves, like, to this day. He always shakes me up whenever, like, you know, I hear his music on. It's like, yeah, you can't help it. Because, you know, like, when you hear him talk, you know, like, this guy is saying it confidently and firm. You can't help but accept what the man says. Yeah. But about what he quoted, even the genius asks questions. Of course. If you're a genius, you know that whatever knowledge you already have, it's best to refine it even further, even in the slightest. The slightest improvements always make a good difference. If you build racing cars for particular races, even the slightest adjustments to the suspension or the braking or like just changing the tire just a little bit, it's going to make all the difference in the outcome of the race. It can make an extremely crazy outcome. And in terms of racing, sometimes the differences between the best and the worst is like a split millisecond. Sometimes it's a split millisecond what determines the difference between the best and the worst. A split millisecond. And imagine all the improvements that were required to even get that split second difference. When you ask questions, you're asking for more knowledge, for more refinement in your already wise, knowledgeable mind. You're asking for improvement. You're asking for growth. You know me, I love growth. I'm all about growing. I'm trying to grow my muscles right now, but it takes time. Because I lost a lot of muscle mass, because I did start to participate in other physical activities where I neglected my muscle mass. Because I used to like bodybuilding, but I don't know, didn't like bodybuilding with weights anymore. I got more into combat. And with combat, the one thing I knew about combat is like I want to be more loose, free flowing when my body moves properly. And I always felt with bodybuilding, it tightened up my muscles, my joints, and I couldn't free flow my body the way I liked. And that's kind of why I stayed away from weights. But since I gained a lot of injuries, I stopped engaging in physical activity altogether. And now I'm back to square one. And one of the best ways to rebuild the strength in your body is by lifting some resistance in some easy format. By lifting weights. It's easy. And it's less dangerous. It's not as dangerous. I do try to engage in other things, but not as much. And since I moved out of home, I had to leave my combat gym. And yeah. But that's all going to get worked on, of course. Because you know me, I'm all about growth. And yeah, I'm definitely going to make some growth on the physical. But right now, I am trying to get these floppy quotes on. And I'm growing in my floppiness right now. And I got my boy like Tupac, giving us some real shit. Hells yeah. Ask questions. A genius does ask questions. A genius can't be a genius unless they get smarter. They grow smarter. Everyone shouldn't be ashamed to ask questions. When that story I told you about Tupac, yeah, I was there. I saw these people trying to find a flaw in him, saying that he asked too many questions. They had no idea. Those guys were not asking enough questions because they were too insecure. They were insecure about themselves. They were insecure because they probably weren't growing. They probably had no growth. They were probably comfortable at a spot they already earned, which is fair enough. Everyone's allowed to be comfortable. And sadly, their insecurity when they saw someone else who was growing much faster and much more rapidly than them, sadly, it led them to make a stupid statement and say, why are you asking so many questions? Don't you know anything? And Tupac's like, no, I don't know enough. And that's why I'm asking, so I can know more, so I can gather more, I can gain more. Asking questions is all about progress. It's a very progressive thing. Of course, there are the few people that ask questions too much and all the time where they're actually not growing. They're just waiting for someone else to serve them the knowledge rather than building the knowledge within their mind that they should have processed when they first asked a question and learned the lesson. Means they actually didn't learn the lesson. But in a sense, when you're curious and you want to know more about something, that is evidence of growth. Don't be shy to ask questions. When you go into a new workplace or you're in a new environment in the workplace, and yeah, you should already know this, you should already know that. Yeah, of course. But it doesn't hurt to ask the questions so you can become more familiar with this new environment, because you're not 100% sure if it's the same as the environment you've been in yet. It might actually be the exact same, but you don't know. So you need to ask some questions first. The person in charge could have a different flow, and you kind of need to ask questions to get to know him a bit and how he wants this workplace to flow, or this football club to flow. Or all of a sudden your father had been reading some magazines and he has some new mindset of how everyone should live in the house. Sometimes you got to ask some questions. He might actually have some knowledge to teach you that he hadn't yet taught the household. There's so many opportunities when questions can get asked. And of course, when we are aware when's a nice time to ask a question, because sometimes a question can indicate to us, is this the right time to be asking deeper questions? Sometimes you ask someone like, hey, how's it going? Are you busy? And they'll tell you. And sometimes they're like, oh, nah. Then you can ask, hey, I need to ask you a serious question. Do you reckon we have time for this? You'll find out then. See, just by asking questions, you already know if the situation is appropriate for more growth or not. And just by asking that, you learn more about the person you asked, which means you will better learn how to engage with them, which is, in a sense, growth too. Oof. Bro, Tupac, bro. He's a legend. I love his music. I love the depth and the feel. It's the honesty and it's the honesty and the confidence in what he says. That's what's most beautiful about his music. I know there's lots of amazing rappers with cool technical skills and lyrical genius and all that. That's cool. But sometimes all that matters is a word said powerfully, or a question asked by a powerful man. Sometimes that's all that matters. Sometimes people need to understand that they don't have to say too much. They don't have to be as fancy as hell. They just have to be sure about what they're saying. And of course, sure of what they're asking. I ask right now, is it a good time to sign out? I'm gonna sign out.